from a book by Jeremy Taylor, who was a UU minister and actually the mentor for me for my studies of dream work. This is from his book, The Wisdom of Your Dreams. The disparity between our external power and our internal ignorance will destroy us if we do not immediately undertake to learn as much about our own individual and collective unconscious lives, about our fundamental shared psycho-spiritual nature as human beings, as we have learned about the heart of the atoms and the fabric of the stars. Searching for the aha of self-understanding that comes from remembering and understanding more about our dreams is not the only way to accomplish this crucially important task, but it is the most universally available, and in my experience, the most reliable means to increase dramatically this self-knowledge and to release the creative energies necessary to transform our individual and collective circumstances. Norman will now play an interlude for you, a song called Inner Light, which he composed.
Yes, I composed this song in early 2000. Most of the energy and most of the images of the song came to me in dreams, including the original image, in which the dream showed me that my life could be a pilgrimage and offered me words for a declaration of faith.
Circling through the years, I strive to bring my brightness here, and the center symbol reappear. Rosy light streaming into my heart, to an opening eyes of dream. Now my light is out front, but my light is inside, where nobody else can see but me. When the shadows surround, covering all the sacred ground, and there's no way forward to be found, then the light field path is inward bound. Rainbow light streaming into my heart, to an opening horizon dream. Now my life is out front, but my light is inside, where nobody else can see it but me. So let every light be open and seen. Let's see.
So we all dream, but some of us are more interested in our dreams than others, especially here in the West, where there is little serious mention of dreams. It is not uncommon for people to tell me, I don't have dreams, or I don't dream, when what they mean is that they know they dream, but they have very little recall of their dreams. However, when someone takes an interest in the other person's dream, as we dream workers and participants in dream groups do, the people realize that the many gifts that dreams bring, most significantly in the realm of personal and spiritual growth. And we have out on the outside table, the membership table, we have left for you tips for dream recall, which you can pick up if you wish. There's not a copy for everyone, but not everybody will wish
And the
to.
words for my song.
And the words from this song, Inner Light, if you would like to pick that up.
In this presentation, rather than talk about dreams, Marsha and I will together interpret one of my dreams and one of hers to give you a sense of how we interpret dreams by paying special attention to the symbols. Symbols are formed metaphorically by the dreamer's absorption of daily experiences that then sink like sedimentation, such that their parts coalesce into new shapes down at the bottom of the water in our minds. Scientific studies of dreaming, studied especially in rats, found that dreaming involved creating new synaptic connections in our brains. So we're learning how to make sense out of new experience. Furthermore, in the human dreaming, the unconscious mind is typically symbolized by either water or a basement or something somewhere below or behind the dreamer.
Let's explore a few symbols in a little dream that I dreamt a couple of weeks ago. I am looking for my lecture or class. It is being held in a hall behind a storefront that is among a long line of storefronts, like a large mall, such as the one on 41st and Capitola. I am frantically holding onto my cat Lolita, who is struggling to get out of my arms. I'm also juggling a large bag that holds my books and notebook and other treasures. At one point, Lolita gets free and I chase her, afraid that I will lose her. And in this cat chase, I realize that my car is sitting to the side, all smashed up. Oh no, now what do I do? My car is my transport home. So first off, in this little dream, there are at least 4 symbols: the storefront, the cat, the books and notebook, and the car. In our conversation, we will speak of the dreamer as the dream ego, which is the image of those aspects of the dreamer that are initiating and experiencing the action of the dream. Let's start with the cat symbol. So cats are most often associated with the aspect of independence or autonomy. In the dream, Lolita, named after Nabokov's book, by the way, is attempting to escape the prison of my arms, reinforcing the symbolism of autonomy. This could be a symbolic reference, and a somewhat accurate one, I think, to me as someone who is self-sufficient and who is used to setting her own direction.
Cats strike me as being sensual beings. I actually named her Lolita for her body. Usually affectionate. Cats are usually affectionate, but they want to leave on their own terms. It's all about independence. Then come the storefronts. Now, in this dream, the storefronts are places where learning and teaching are expected to occur, but striking for me is the mall with connected storefronts. Sounds like the internet or Facebook, where many people are all competing for attention to try to sell themselves whatever it is they want us to pay attention to. I'm interested in, just as I am interested in selling our abilities and knowledge for coping with the climate crisis.
Yes, and that is the wisdom of the storefront image for me too. The dreamer is someone who is interested in getting people to want to buy the knowledge and skills that in waking life our nonprofit Love and Power represents. But the dreamer doesn't know which storefront the lecture hall is behind. And there's that word. That is, the dreamer needs to enter into the unconscious for necessary information, but she doesn't know which storefront harbors the place of learning and teaching. That is, the unconscious. Let's move on to the book, bag, and notebook. They symbolize for the dreamer's lifetime of being an educator. And in the dreamer is juggling the cat in one arm and holding on to the educational baggage in the other.
So on the one hand, the cat can symbolize high energy, the need for freedom, wiggling and struggling. And on the other hand, the educational baggage is the quiet energy. It's even inert until you read it and make sense out of it. That requires reflection and solitude.
And these are two energies that compete for my attention all day long. Moving on to the car, something we all are familiar with. Car is a common symbol in contemporary dreams. It is normal for cars in dreams to be dysfunctional because we humans are built instinctively to walk on the earth and not to speed past everything encapsulated. In this dream, because the dream ego chooses to chase the cat, she's already outside of the car and sees it to the side all smashed up. It is definitely dysfunctional.
I noticed that the sudden appearance of the car seems to be a consequence of the dreamer chasing the cat, which the dreamer is doing on foot. That brings awareness that the dreamer does not have the option of going fast as she would be able to in a car. A car can be either a vehicle for the dreamer's movement, or as it seems to be here, a part of the dreamer that is stopped, that perhaps needs a new way to move forward. The dreamer is in a panic at the possible loss of her cat, or perhaps the freedom that the cat represents. There's a fear of the loss of freedom. Then comes home.
Yes, the closing question poses the dilemma. How can the dreamer get home? That is, I read it as, think of it as a place out, not outside, but an actual inside the person. The answer is to walk forward, to go slowly, to find time for reflection, autonomy to love and pursue the dreamer's own interests as she chooses. That is, the dreamer must find the path to a life that is more nourishing, that has fewer competitive demands on her energy.
Well, that would be a more simple life like the one we two had in southern France when we walked a pilgrim path as part of the Compostela in the month of May this year.
Yes, simplicity is the answer. How can I get home? So what about one of your dreams, Norman?
Okay, this is a dream titled Old Car Ground Up in Rocks, which I dreamt at a spiritual retreat at the Omega Institute on the Hudson, which is the Esalen of the East Coast, about 25 years ago. The retreat was on writing for purposes of spiritual growth. I drove over 800 miles from my home in Florida to get to the 1 week long seminar. So here's the dream. A couple days into that seminar, I had this amazing to me dream. I'm driving the car around a very windy road along a steep mountainside of a U-shaped gorge, like Yosemite. My car slips and the road peters out at the same time while rounding a heavy dark gray rock. Before I know it, we're nose first off the edge. Then we're falling into a huge jumble of boulders twice and 4 to 6 times as big as the car. Boulder buildings are crunching in on top of me. Suddenly, I'm out through the roof of my car in one big 2-hand upward swing of my great machete, full of newborn energy. There's another rumbling shift in grinding, crushing boulders, all charcoal gray. Finally, outside the towering rock pile, I see a 40s black police Citroën underneath, and above it, a black 50s Buick, then a black 60s Mercury, a nondescript black 70s, and my own car's carcass, already half rusted and tinkling glass. They're all sandwiched like crumbling carbon deposits in a sedimentary rock, dribbling pieces ground in a geological avalanche, exceedingly slowly. So the symbols of this dream we'll approach are the winding road, falling off the edge, boulders grinding cars, and the two-handed escape. So falling off the winding road symbolizes the twisting and turnings of daily life and my effort to drive far from home for a spiritual retreat. Falling symbolizes both potential injury or death and sinking into the unconscious, where the future is unknowable and dreams always occur.
So boulders occur in nature and are not human-made. They're capable of destruction, but not construction. Boulders are shaped like buildings, but symbolize nature in contrast to civilization.
Yes, they end up grinding cars into debris that is locked within a geological avalanche, and that turns into sedimentary rock layers.
And thus the cars are ground down like dust into dust, a process of nature. The inexorable force of boulders is similar to successive generations of humanity that can adapt to changing environments.
Now, this is an exaggeration to drive home the point that a single human being can also undergo a transformation similar to reincarnation. The evolution of human nature and human actions through generations, similar to the generations of cars, is suggested here.
But this dream suggests that some evolutionary change is possible in one lifetime through spiritual growth.
Then finally, we have the two-headed escape. The dreamer cuts his way through the roof of the car, and escape from the car reminds me that I was a cesarean baby in 1942, which is when those black Citroen police cars were current in France.
Well, yes, and hearses are the color black.
Yes, and the blatantly Freudian film there were black hearses that were in some of Harold's fake suicides. He was trying to escape his mother, by the way.
But you have never driven a black car, Norman.
Right, so this blatant contrast between my waking life cars and the dream cars is another way the dream is emphasizing the importance of death and rebirth. But the rebirth image shows nothing about how the dreamer will change in waking life. Only waking willpower and actions can do that. And I doubt that I changed very much when I returned to my wife and family at the end of that week. Spiritual retreats are always inspiring, but they don't change you unless you change your daily habits and actions afterwards. Now, if we compare the civilizations of the dreamer in both of our dreams, Marsha notices that her car is smashed after she's moved to panic about the escape of her cat. Norman is moved to escape his crumbling car by the threat of imminent death. Both dreams separated us from our civilized vehicles in order to urge us to seek a future without their mechanical propulsion. Both dreams, about 25 years apart, share a collective wisdom. For our Earth is threatened with degradation by reliance on the individualistic transportation and fossil fuels. We could argue that dreaming is normally uncomfortable with mechanical means of power because of the ancient human mind not being designed for mechanical symbiosis. But it's also possible that the human collective unconscious is aware that at least some of our power tools are quite dangerous to our environment.
There are other manifestations of collective unconscious warnings about human attacks on civilization. Both of us heard from several people who had dreamt of the World Trade Center attacks days or weeks in advance. And in my DreamWork class at Star King, studying with Jeremy Taylor, several students announced that they had dreamt about 9/11 in advance. Norman's student assistant, whose family lived on the east side of Pittsburgh, told him that she dreamt 3 times about a jumbo jet going down into forested lands east of their home before returning to the Florida campus, where the flight that was headed for the Pentagon actually crashed.
All this is to say that our unconscious and our dreams are looking out for us as individuals. And it is likely that the collective unconscious is looking out for us as a human community. Our awareness of our dreams is an awareness that there is more love loose in the universe than we hope to imagine.
Play.
What? What do I play? Right away? Oh, it'll happen. Like that.
Norman's very busy.